Intro. Luigi's Mansion is one of the scary Mario games in the franchise, which makes it perfect for the spooky month that is October. Of course, it can be played whenever because that's the power of freedom, but it's one of the games on the GameCube that came out and kind of was seen as a good spin off, which is surprising, especially nowadays for Mario. But the game fits the spooky vibes and overall is the game to play if you want a scary but not too scary game. But before we get into why, let's go over the game's quote story, even though it's not really fully a story, but a quick summary. We play as Luigi as we win a mansion in a contest we didn't even enter. This is a classic social media scam, but we decide to check it out anyways. When we get there, it's all dark and spooky, and we go inside to see Professor Egad. He's sucking up ghosts, but fails to see them actually get in the vacuum, so we run back to his home, which is not shaped like his head this time. He isn't a full narcissist yet, but he'll get there. He gives us his trusty vacuum to get rid of the ghosts, and we head back to the mansion. We get rid of all the ghosts in the rooms, and we see a toad. Toad has the ability to save the game and light up a room. Smiley face. That's not in the way you would tell a girl if you were trying to flirt with her, by the way. We meet up with the toads, and we take out the portrait ghosts, which are special ghosts that we have to capture before we put them in portraits. That's kind of a shocker. We get the guy who is tired by the fire first, and then probably his wife, who is brushing her hair. What she's doing that for, I don't know. She's a ghost. But we let, wind in, and bam, she's gone from her room. Then we fight the boss, who is probably their baby, a spoiled one at that, but he gets upset and angry, so we get shrunk down into his crib and defeat him. That family is now gone from this mansion. They are eradicated. They just all got killed, probably, in the afterlife. That means we go to the next area. The fun area, where we get to catch a couple dancing and having fun. Not allowed in the ballroom, people. Please get a room. We accidentally release all the booze into the mansion as well after that. So now we have a boo radar to help us find them. There's 50 of them, by the way. We keep catching them as we head to the psychic's room and discover our elemental powers. We can control fire now, and we use this to defeat the butler and get more treasure. Then we make a tune and capture the music teacher ghost in a room filled with music-related stuff. Big news for any whales who live in this mansion. You will be absorbed because we catch a whale. This is right before we get the ability to control water and then use it to water the first plant, the iconic plant of Luigi's Mansion. After vacuuming up the dog named Spooky and the boss named Bogmire, who is this purple-like beast, we move on to Area 3. We go through the backyard and then save another toad. Then we get rid of a bodybuilder because we don't accept your ghosts here, sir. I don't like muscles. Then we accidentally force someone from a shower into the bathroom and then into our vacuum from the shower. Don't care if that's probably a privacy violation, but whatever. And then we start to defeat another family. First was Nana, then was the twins, but also a pool player who isn't related to them, by the way. And bam, they're gone. Another family eradicated from the mansion. But then we start to collect Mario's stuff, and we get it. So after getting all of Mario's items back, we can get the psychic out of the psychic's room. Crazy. And the mother of all boos comes out and tries to defeat us, but fails. On to Area 4 now, where we start with a blackout. Then we capture an uncle. Families are no longer allowed in this mansion, by the way, just so you know. Then we go up against the Minutemen, who fought against the British, but in the toy form. And then, after capturing them, we get a little girl out of this mansion because she pees her bed. Grow up! Grow up. And then we also get a man who's obsessed with jars before going to the icy room. The iconic icy room. This is where we capture a climber and then Vincent van Gogh himself. But in ghost form, so it's Vincent van Gogh. Do you get it? Then we go to the basement. We defeat King Boo. Bam! We're done. We're just simply done and roll the credits. I got a B rank mansion, but if you got enough treasure, you can get an A. And you can get anywhere from an H to an A. Crazy. The thing that's really good in this game, compared to the other two, is the mansion design. It's split up into 4 levels, but it's contained. It's not like Dark Moon, where it's many mansions that you have to go to over time, and you have to do missions. You just go in one area, bam. But it's also not like the third game, where it's many levels inside a hotel. This game probably does level design the best out of them, because it's one mansion that could actually be a mansion. It's not a hotel or anything weird, but it has the rooms all in a way that's easy to get to and recognize. It's a mansion that could actually exist, and that's what makes it so cool. The fact that you can imagine this, it's not like out of there type of deal. Of course, there are a lot of rooms that like we, the middle class, won't ever see because this mansion has every room, like it has rooms like the ballroom or the workout room. Who is gonna see those? Rooms people would never see in their lives. But also, the mansion does kind of tell a story with how these rooms are formed. And also, who is in them? If you look at all the portrait ghosts, it looks like all the past residents who live there. You could make that theory. Because there's a few families that we eradicate, as mentioned before, like in the first area. But also the Nana and the twins being another family somewhat. I don't know the full lore, but there are family structures in it. So it does tell a story, even though this mansion appeared, according to EGAD, a few days ago. The characters just feel like they're supposed to be there because they used to live there. That's mainly the idea. It seems like, oh, like it's comfortable for them or whatever because they're back in their own home. But also another way to look at it seems to be like generations of ghosts over time, which makes it cool because all of them have different backstories. The climber has a different backstory than the artist, and it's cool to see a diverse set of ghosts instead of like, hey, here's the same ghost 5 times but with a slightly different design, which is the only problem I had with Dark Moon's like ghost types, TBH. The fact that the variety in ghosts was kind of lost there, and also the rooms were more linear than this one. And this one, the hallways acts sort of like a hub where you can freely travel to all these rooms and stuff. And this applies to the first and second floor. The hallways are cool like that, and they actually resemble a real house in the way like the floors are made, because the first and second floors being basically the same in their layout is really how this house would be designed. It's massive, so there would be rooms above the other ones in a similar format. The only problem being on the second floor, there's like this one door, and it's just not even a door because it's not there. It could easily connect the hallway to the foyer, but it doesn't. I don't know why they didn't include that, but like, since the mansion is massive, there'd be rooms above the other ones in that format. That's what we also make was the attic, and that's why it feels different. It's a different layout than the other 2 floors, and actually feels like an attic. Everything that's extra is in it. If you have an attic that isn't pure insulation, you probably know that you only use it for extra stuff and to store things up there for later. That's what the rooms in this attic are like. But if somebody decided they wanted to live up there, like the artist ghost and the jar guy, it's like the extra storage stuff that isn't too important, but also just needed. Like they could, but it's the extra ghosts and all that. Also, the basement, even though it's not fully accurate, it still feels somewhat like a basement. It's made to be this final challenge before the final boss, like type of floor in its design, which makes sense, but it's not a normal basement, let's be honest. This is because most people don't even have a finished basement, let alone all these rooms in their basement. They have some sort of concrete walls in their basement, and this mansion, there's a whole river going through one of the rooms that you have to freeze. What? Nobody has that. But the design of the basement works because it has a small amount of rooms. Some people may have more rooms in their basement than this. I know some people who do. There's a small amount of rooms in the basement, but it's only one basement. It's a final challenge, so no need for all these stocks to be put towards it if you're just gonna like bang, bang, boom, and then final boss. But the rooms in the house also add to the idea of the mansion and the layout because you slowly explore the mansion too, which helps add to the atmosphere of the game because it's better that it's more open than linear design. Like you don't have to get from point A to point B, you just have to do all these things. That's why the idea of optional ghosts is probably better for its atmosphere as well. So, of course, with a game like Luigi's Mansion being a scary game, it has to matter if it can do the spooky vibe well. I think it does. The game isn't scary, really, but you can say it has some eerie moments to it. You don't know the mansions and all the ghosts are scary the first time you see them, in a way. The sense of the unknown is really the scariness of it. You don't know where you're going, and every now and then a ghost comes out and scares you, and they're like, woo! And you have to fight a portrait ghost occasionally. The game isn't meant to full on scare you, but to just put you at ease the first time you play it. Every room being dark when you enter it, so you don't know where you're going, makes this kind of the point. Slowly, the fear of the unknown goes away, as you actually can see the lights in the room, and you can see where you're going, which gives you a false sense of security. That's why the Toad rooms feels more safe, because one Toad's there and two, the lights are on. This false sense of security also really only lasts until the blackout, in which the game tries to scare you the most. The game makes the amount of ghosts almost double that, or probably even triple, I don't know. It was really crazy what they did, of what it usually is. And they throw everything at you. It also brings back the idea of the unknown, as again, the whole mansion is dark, and you don't know where you're going. You might, but you also might not, because it's not the same mansion you were walking by before. It's not the lights and all of that before that made you very comfortable. It's now the original mansion you were in, but way worse. Was the amount of ghosts that are in there, was the challenge that's in there. Every room being dark and full of ghosts, it puts you in a sense of urgency again, as you have to try to get to the breaker room. You can't clear any rooms, you have to just try to get to the breaker room. That's the main point. Since there's no lights that work, and those are really your safe points, every room becomes unsafe for you until you turn the lights back on. Also, the fact that some things are off in the mansion gives off a little bit of a weird effect of, yeah, I'm in a house, but maybe I'm not, question mark. For example, the Star Road, to get the Mario's star, probably isn't in any houses, at least that I know of. But you don't really go into space in any house, even if there's a telescope in there. The fact that there's a telescope in the area, let alone in the house, shows how the people who have this mansion, quote unquote, are so rich, even if it's not actually real. Nobody owns a telescope anymore, but I'm not going to talk about that. I don't need to, because this is about the paranormal activities in the mansion. The objects in the observatory are scary as well. Not in the traditional sense, but the fact that they have the candles around the circle, and that's some pagan type energy. It kind of shows an element of the unknown, because you might not know about it. You can make anything scary if you don't know anything about it. Because, well, it's an empty box that needs to be filled. The way you fill it is up to you. And what surrounds you and what you know. And what fills it. That's why the mansion is scary on the first playthrough. The box you make for what you expect is filled with the spooky things like lightning, ghosts, and darkness, and unknown. All things usually made to scare you or put you on the edge of your seat. If it works, it works. It can scare you really bad, and if it works, like, you probably are younger, but it also may work if you're older. But if it works, it did its job. The gameplay of this game is much different than Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon. The ghosts are different, for one, and there's no dark light. But those aren't the main differences. The most important difference is how you control the flashlight in this game. Now, I played the game on my GameCube, quote unquote, but really on my Wii. And so you have to tilt the joystick towards the ghost at the right time to actually get it to work. There's no strobo bulb like in the second one. When you look at a ghost, that's when you have to capture it. In the 3DS remake of the game, they made this feature a thing, which is okay, but I think the gameplay is better because of the non-strobo bulb thing. It makes you have to pick when you'll go after the ghost and actually test your reaction skills. It makes the game a little harder, is what I'm saying. This thing is, this is better because with the bulb, you can just get all the ghosts at once, and it makes the game a little too easy, which isn't fun then. I liked the 3DS version, but it wasn't better than the original. But the gameplay also is fun because it gives off a wacky vibe, especially with the way the music is. The music is basically part of the game with the main theme especially. Luigi hums the main theme in the empty hallways, but it plays in hallways that are filled with ghosts, like full-on instruments. It's a fun little thing that adds some detail to the game. The music also gives off some scary vibes with the strings and all that, but in the boss battles, they give off a more playful vibe. Like in the battle with Chauncey, it gives off this vibe of fighting a child because of, like, the theme of it. If you listen to it on Spotify, you can definitely tell you're battling a child when listening to the track. Then on the other hand, with Boolossus, the mother of all boos, it gives off a vibe of danger and that you need to hurry up and defeat it, which is good because you have to quickly do that, and it makes it more menacing as he bounces around like a seal, really, which is crazy. But the variety in bosses is good because they all play differently. They don't all play in the fashion of getting this person or ghost 3 times, and the only thing that's different is how you get the ghost out of its object. It's more unique since there's only 4 bosses this time instead of like 5, but they also all have different music, which makes them each feel special in some way. You can tell which boss you're fighting if you know the track. It's not some generic action or scary track. It's a goofy Mario-esque track, which helps make this game not fully scary in a way, but something as a goofy, fun type of scary compared to anything. Luigi's Mansion still holds up today, considering the game has a high price tag for even trying to get it opened. I went to a retro game store at a mall, and it was $50 there, but the game is over 20 years old, and even had a remake on the 3DS, so again, there's 2 versions because money is money, It sold, the GameCube version, about 2.63 million units, so that's good. The original selling well. And the review scores are pretty high, because at the time of this, Luigi didn't really have anything. He didn't get any big games because he was still kind of a side character in a way. Not worthy of the game, so most people probably thought it would be bad or something, just a cash grab, which for the most part, that idea was proven wrong, because on Eurogamer and IGN, the iconic site, it got a 7 out of 10, which means good on their scales. On Famitsu, it got a 34 out of 40, which is higher than 75%, if you do the math. Nintendo Life gave the game an 8 out of 10, which is the same as the 4 out of 5 Nintendo Power gave for it. Game Informer gave it a 9 out of 10, which is more of the correct opinion because that's mainly how good the game is. So overall, better reviews than the average game, for it to be released. So it still holds up in a way today, just because of charm, probably. Overall, Luigi's Mansion is a fun game. In my opinion, it's better than the second one, but that's just me. You may have a different opinion, but make sure to play the game if you can to form that opinion. I know it's an older game, so that's probably hard to do. So good luck if you're trying to do that. But personally, I would give the game a 10 out of 10. It's just one of those games, really. It's it's fun and relaxing in a way. But comment below if your opinion is different somehow, or if you want to. And if you want to, please like and subscribe. Pretty please.